Welcome to Paul's View, and I'm Paul Schwartz. I thought that it would be a good topic to discuss today on Paul's View, the Mueller report and the possibility about impeachment. Democrats seem to be overly concerned about backlash in 2020 if they proceed on impeachment. And I think that concern is unfounded. The circumstances are not the same as they were in 1998. Similar to maybe 1974, but not 1998. The only one who actually felt the wrath of the backlash in 1998 was Newt Gingrich. That should not be a concern. The circumstances are different. First of all, Clinton was a popular president. Trump is not. His favorability rating is about 39%, and his unfavorability rating is about 57%. But more than that, it's the nature of the crimes. Clinton was impeached because he lied about personal transgressions. That's not what we're talking about now with Trump. Trump's transgressions were about, as outlined in the Mueller report, his transgressions dealt with getting in the way of an investigation into a foreign adversary influencing an American presidential election. You're talking about national security, not about the transgressions, the sexual transgressions of Bill Clinton. The midterms gave the Democrats in 2018, the midterms gave them a referendum to do something about this unfit president. And now, if with the Mueller report, they have the ammunition to go forward to remove this individual from office as he should be. The analogy regarding the circumstances of an impeachment, as I said, were more closely related to Nixon. Nixon was basically going to be impeached. He wasn't because he had enough respect for the office when he saw the walls crumbling on him to walk away. Trump is not going to do that because he has no respect for anything but himself. But it was about obstruction of justice. One dealt with tapes. In the case of Trump, it's actually obstruction of justice in plain sight. The Mueller report provided Congress with that roadmap to impeachment. Obstruction performed in plain sight does not make the obstruction any less. And I want to cite the report itself. In the report, Mueller says, "No principle of law excludes public acts from the reach of the obstruction laws." He goes on to say, "If we had confidence after a thorough investigation of the facts that the president clearly did not commit obstruction of justice, we would so state. Based on the facts and the applicable legal standards, we are unable to reach that judgment. Accordingly, while this report does not conclude that the president committed a crime, it also does not exonerate him. With respect to whether the president can be found to have obstructed justice by exercising his power under Article 2 of the Constitution, we, meaning Mueller and his team, concluded that Congress has authority to prohibit a president's corrupt use of his authority in order to protect the integrity of the administration of justice." That is exactly the situation we find ourselves in today with this sitting president. As for impeachment, if not now, when? If not Trump, then who? If Congress does not hold this president accountable, and accountable is the key word here, then it is in effect condoning his behavior and for future presidents, and also is condoning his continued mocking of the rule of law. Even now, he continues, after the report is out, he continues to mock the rule of law by ignoring legal subpoenas. Also, by condoning the behavior of this president, we would also be condoning the intrusion of foreign influence and foreign adversaries into our elections, which is the main finding of the report as outlined in the first volume. In addition, I just want to point out that the report specifically refers to the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel's opinion that, and I quote, "a sitting president may not be prosecuted," as to a basis for not moving forward with an indictment of Trump. The report goes on to state that a criminal accusation against the president would not give him the opportunity to defend himself in a court of law. So the report clearly states that it did not bring charges because of this OLC policy. Rather, Mueller chose to provide the roadmap of offenses to Congress to act on its constitutionality. In Barr's synopsis, he clearly lied. There's no way around it. Lying is the key word here, because he stated that neither the OLC opinion or punting it to Congress were in the report, and that is not the case. So now another issue, in addition to impeachment of Trump, is how do we handle Attorney General Barr, who, keep in mind, when Trump was so disappointed with Jeff Sessions because he did not recuse himself, is there anybody in their right mind who thought that the person who would succeed Jeff Sessions would be somebody who might also recuse himself? Clearly, that wasn't the intent of Trump when he selected Barr, and Barr came through. In Trump's own words, he was looking for his Roy Cohn. For those who don't remember Roy Cohn, you got to go back to the McCarthy hearings, and Cohn was sitting right next to McCarthy during those hearings. But in addition, later on in life, he was the pre-Michael Cohen to Donald Trump. Roy Cohn was the fix-it man. And that's what Trump was looking for. And Attorney General Barr came through with flying colors as far as being Trump's Roy Cohn. So how do we deal with that? One of the ways might be if the Attorney General, who is supposed to be the Attorney General of the people of this country, when our own Brian Frosch ran for Attorney General of the state of Maryland, he said he is running as the people's attorney, not the governor's attorney. Here we have an Attorney General who's clearly not the people's attorney, but Trump's attorney. So how do we fix that? Well, I asked Jamie Graskin that question. And I asked him if it's possible to have a constitutional amendment to do that. And he said that's what it would take. And so we're all for that. Let's get the ball rolling on a constitutional amendment to make the Attorney General of the United States an elected office. Now, in speaking about the election and 2020, which is really a concern because nothing is being done by Trump to make sure that what happened in 2016 doesn't recur in 2020. But there are things that need to be done as far as the Electoral College. And I just want to point on this a little bit. Prior to 2000, the only time a president lost a popular vote and won the Electoral College was in 1876, when Republican Rutherford B. Hayes defeated Democrat Samuel Tilden. Since 2000, it has happened twice, where Gore had the popular vote with Bush the Electoral College, and then Trump the Electoral College, and Clinton was the popular vote. In this nation, every vote must count. There is what's called the National Popular Vote Bill, and what that is doing is, in order to win the Electoral College, you need 270 electoral votes. Ordinarily, a state, when whatever their popular vote is, they give all of their electoral votes to the candidate running. What this bill would do, if people sign on to it, if states sign on to it, is that depending on the popular vote of the country, they would give all of their electoral votes to that candidate, the one who wins the popular vote in the country, not the state. And right now, as I said, you need 270 electoral votes. Right now, there are 14 states that have signed on to this, and with a total of 189 electoral votes. If we can get an additional states that account for 81 additional electoral votes, we can have, without the need to go through a constitutional amendment, we can have a situation where the person who wins the popular vote in the country gets elected president, so that every vote counts. And let me close, though, going back to the Mueller report, let me close with this last quote. In the report, he closes Mueller by saying this: "The conclusion that Congress may apply the obstruction laws to the president's corrupt exercise of the powers of the office accords with our constitutional system of checks and balances and the principle that no person is above the law." I leave that to you to think now of whether you think impeachment is the appropriate course of action or not. Thank you, and tune in again for the next Paul's View.